Can we just forget the past? That woman deserves her revenge.
Quentin Tarantino is often thought of as a master of the pop culture remix. It's taking two previously unrelated and obscure movie tropes, slamming them together, and getting something more. He's made countless iconic cinematic moments, and none of this would have been possible without his undying passion for the medium. However, there's one more piece of this puzzle, one drenched in blood and fueled by emotion. The reason for his success all comes back to one word: revenge. We all know the fairy tale origin story of one of cinema's most iconic auteurs. He worked at a video store, writing screenplays in his free time, and after meeting a producer at a party, he pitched the idea of a bank heist movie where you don't see the heist.
Is that a setup or what? Orange got tagged.
Good shot.
He's widely known as a film nerd with an encyclopedic knowledge, but underneath that, he's also someone who obviously struggles with anger issues. Tarantino's films are full of anger and grievance. They harness a deep-seated emotion within all of us, and a large subset of these films channel that emotion into the revenge genre. In today's Hollywood system, films are made based off of intellectual property, but that's not how movies used to get made. They used to get greenlit due to how well they tapped into a core emotion that all humans experience: fear, lust, hatred, love. They'd see a trailer and want to experience the vicarious catharsis, and they'd buy a ticket. Movies used to sell the potential of a new experience. Now they sell a distant memory of an experience we think we had. Anger is a powerful emotion. One of the main vehicles to exercise anger was the revenge genre. I Spit on Your Grave, Death Wish, Mrs. 45, Foxy Brown, Mad Max. That need for emotional release is something endemically human. Revenge is a hell of a drug, and movie producers in the 70s and 80s knew this and used it to get audiences to attend screenings almost sight unseen.
Oh, that's an old trick.
Tarantino isn't interested in IP, sequels, and remakes. Well, he is nostalgic in his own way. Django is his version of a legacy reboot. Kill Bill was influenced by Bruce Lee movies, and Inglourious Basterds is a modern remix of the classic Guys on a Mission movies that used to be so popular in the 60s. But you know what I mean. In the nostalgia industrial complex way, he's not interested in making a movie that has swelling violins and makes you go, "Oh, I remember that thing from that one movie from when I was a kid." He's only brushed with franchise filmmaking twice in his career. The first was when he turned down directing Men in Black, and the second is when he developed a standalone R-rated Star Trek movie that obviously never got made. Most directors' careers would have stumbled and fallen if they refused to work inside the metaphorical machine. They've all had to compromise, but not Tarantino. He's carved his own path, largely due to the fact that he's able to harness that simple emotion of anger so well. His best movies feature or explore revenge as both a narrative mechanic to get audiences on the side of the protagonist.
Where's the maniac?
Shot him and his punk ass sped off.
You wanna go get him?
Oh, hell yeah!
And, as an author, plumbing the depths of his own soul. Of his current slate of films, roughly half of them feature the concept of revenge and interrogate it in different and unique ways. Kill Bill is the primary example. The film follows the bride as she seeks vengeance for being left for dead on her wedding day. It's a love letter to 70s cult cinema, Bruce Lee, and the revenge and exploitation cinema of the day. But it's also something else. It's a love letter to Uma Thurman. The pair created the idea of the bride while working on Pulp Fiction together, and Tarantino wrote it for her as a star vehicle, and he wanted the world to see all the amazing qualities that he saw in her. However, there's a dark energy coursing through the movie. The pair shot the film from 2002 to 2003, and you want to guess what happened during the same time span? Ethan Hawke cheated on Thurman. You can put two and two together and see that Quentin was trying to convince Thurman to be with him. It's very clear that Thurman didn't feel the same way about Tarantino, and when their relationship soured due to these conflicts, corners were cut which put her life at risk. Legend has it, Tarantino told Uma Thurman to perform a dangerous driving stunt as a means of retaliation for her not reciprocating his feelings toward her, and she almost died. In some ways, Kill Bill is the perfect encapsulation of this idea of revenge as a deeper exploration of the human psyche due to the very complex social dynamics at play. On one hand, you can feel Tarantino using revenge in the classic exploitation manner, and then on another level, it feels like he's exercising his personal demons by torturing Uma Thurman personally.
Did you just shoot me with?
This film might be Tarantino's magnum opus on multiple fronts, partly because it's so clear that he's writing about multiple genres that he's deeply passionate about, while also grappling with the fact that love is hard-won, and when it disappears, it profoundly damages things for all the individuals involved. It's an endlessly fascinating piece of work and a dark spot on his personal biography at the same time. Inglourious Basterds also utilizes widespread revenge, but this is more of a cultural ideal than an individual grudge. The film takes place in World War II and features a group of American GIs sent behind enemy lines to attempt to eliminate Germany's leader. The film has a righteous indignation and power behind its themes that most of Tarantino's projects don't have.
I think this just might be my masterpiece.
Django Unchained has a similar approach. It's taking the classic spaghetti western genre that was popular in the 60s and 70s and transposing it to the American South and reconfiguring Django as a freed slave. There's definitely a conversation to be had about if Tarantino is the right person to tell this story, but that's a video for another time. Right now, we're just going to focus on his revenge fascination. And boy, does Django really earn the revenge genre status. Sure, he may lose in what feels like the climax, but then he escapes, ostensibly being sold into slavery again, to an Australian slaver played by Tarantino himself, so much to unpack there, and returns to the plantation of Calvin Candy, burns it down, and gets his heroic finale. If anything, this film feels like Tarantino shaking his fist at the social injustices of the world. It's a movie that has deep themes and tries to play with them, but might come up a bit short.
The D is silent.
I know.
Death Proof, which originally debuted as part of the Grindhouse experiment, is a throwback 70s muscle car exploitation project. It's a slasher where the villain uses his car as the weapon. The back half of the movie follows a group of women hell-bent on revenge against the murderous stuntman Mike, who killed one of their friends. Tarantino has often talked about how he views Death Proof as a creative failure and has bemoaned the fact that audiences didn't connect with it in the way that he was hoping. On paper, it's a pretty great setup for the revenge story, but it lacks the emotional through line that some of his other revenge-oriented films have benefited from. Obviously, the Kill Bill scenario might be a step too far, but even Inglourious Basterds or Django feel like they're railing against something. Death Proof, it's about how cool the old network stuntman shows were, and how fun it is to watch cars drive around. Even if it is extremely impressive with some of the stunts they managed to accomplish, the film does feel a little underbaked.
So what's your name, Icy?
Stuntman Mike.
Stuntman Mike's your name.
You ask anyway.
And finally, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, a 70s epic that follows a down-on-his-luck star and his best friend and stuntman as they attempt to navigate the death rattle of the golden age of Hollywood, while also coming up against the burgeoning Manson family cult. It gives you exactly what you want from the get-go, and it comes with a salve for what Tarantino views as one of the biggest existential pains in American history. The revenge is, what if someone was there who could have stopped the Manson acolytes from hurting Sharon Tate? And what if all you needed in those moments of darkness was a friend? So in some ways, the film exhibits the standard cruelty, animus, and grimy anger that the other revenge films inhabit, but it also has this other layer. It offers a helping hand, something Tarantino obviously wants in his own life, but doesn't have. In many ways, Hollywood is the most mature film Tarantino has made because it has a final point that actually services its real-world audiences. Living well is the best revenge. Granted, it also has someone being killed with a can of dog food, so, keep that in mind. It's pretty clear that with this amount of time and effort that he's putting into writing, Tarantino has really honed his craft. But further than just being someone who has a voice and is interested in world cinema, he's someone who figured out how to do the impossible. He's been walking between two worlds almost his entire career. He's been making crowd-pleasing blockbuster films and also making critically acclaimed, artistically validated projects. It's a sixth sense many big-budget directors would kill for.
That's when you know you found somebody really special.
Tarantino has been very open about the fact that he only wants to make 10 movies. He wants to have an impeccable body of work with no lesser entries, and part of the way he's been able to maintain that level of quality is by writing about emotions that fit neatly into commercial vehicles, like revenge. But it seems like he's writing about what he's authentically interested in. He's been an outlier in the Hollywood system, he's succeeded in making movie after movie and never working for a larger entity that would want to dampen his voice. A key contributing factor to that is that his films always make money. Tarantino, in many ways, is the last of a breed of filmmaker that's interested in making work about where they are at in their life first and playing the game of Hollywood second. And throughout that process, he's mastered becoming the premier author of a genre that very few people have bothered to investigate in recent years. The broader creative ecosystem could learn a thing or two from him in this regard. Maybe leave the feet stuff at home, though. That's not a lesson we need to learn more about. And well, That's all we have for this episode of Nerdstalgic. What do you think? Did we miss anything about Tarantino and his mastery over the revenge genre? And as always, please like and subscribe for more videos just like this.